Hey everybody, it's Kellen Nitro from Nitromaniac TV's wrestling channel, and this is my take, Nitro's take, on WWE Fastlane 2019 from the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio on March 10th, 2019. I almost said 1995 for whatever reason. Just been on a retro in-your-house kick lately, so I've been checking out a lot of the stuff on the network from 1995, and it's worlds different from what we have today, let me tell you. But anyways, my take on the important goings on the last pay-per-view prior to WrestleMania in New York, and this was an important one for me because, of course, going to New York to see Mania live, we get all the major storylines kind of established that they'll be rolling out, well, pretty much, I'd say about 3/4 of them. We'll elaborate more here. Watched the pre-show, and the big thing that happened on the pre-show was Kofi got called to a meeting in Mr. McMahon's office from the New Day, and the other two New Day members, Big E and Xavier Woods, ended up having a tag team match with Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev. And man, Shinsuke, again, how have you fallen, dude? Hopefully he's one of the favorites to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal in New York. Otherwise, this kind of fall from the mid-card has been all for naught. I don't like how he's being utilized right now, and it could be another Gallows and Anderson type situation going forward because, hey, there's options now for guys. So WWE, of course, is a dream for everybody, but it's not the be-all, end-all. But the match accomplished what it needed to accomplish storyline-wise. New Day, hey, there we go. They still win. They still keep rolling. On to the main card, and the opening contest was for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The Usos of Jimmy and Jay taking on Shane McMahon and The Miz. And this contest was decidedly, well, the crowd was decidedly behind Miz because, of course, it's his hometown in Cleveland and that stuff, and he had the Cleveland is awesome merch on. So did Shane throughout it. Actually, a really good tag match. We saw our first of, I guess you'd call them, two mid-air collision spots on the night, which was something that was pretty cool. Just wild, insane. Whoever created those in the Performance Center or whatever, kudos, because that was something interesting to see on a show. And obviously, it probably is something that people have done on the indies, but to see it on a mainstream pay-per-view like this is something else for sure. And that's usually something that you need to save for like a WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble, one of the big two pay-per-views. So for those guys to think outside the box like that, Shane, the Usos, and then later on with Daniel Bryan and Mustafa Ali, just incredible stuff. Finish of the match was The Miz attempting a ill-advised frog splash because his dad told him to go upstairs, go to the top rope, and do the frog splash, and Jimmy Uso's knees intercepted him, getting the 1-2-3 for the Usos. It's what happened after the match is what the catalyst is for a match that I don't think a lot of people seen coming for WrestleMania, Shane McMahon versus The Miz, with Shane McMahon turning heel and attacking The Miz after the bell. This is something that was off of everybody's radar for sure, but all bets were open once Daniel Bryan turned heel last fall of what the situation was going to be, because the rumored match for WrestleMania, of course, coming into this year, all last year, was it's going to be The Miz and Daniel Bryan. But now, it's changed up a little bit, and variety's good, so this should be a very entertaining undercard thing. Shane will no doubt be doing one of his high-risk spots during the card, so it should be a lot of fun to see Mania weekend. But overall, this match, hey, again, another match that accomplished what it needed to accomplish, and it was awesome. It was a great match. Great opener. I don't want to call this one a down match, but it was kind of more of a meh type encounter between Asuka and Mandy Rose for the SmackDown Women's title. Asuka retained the title, and it was Sonya Deville kind of costing Mandy Rose the match towards the end there. I kind of see this maybe playing out in a women's battle royal at WrestleMania. I obviously don't think that they're going to have a Mandy versus Sonya matchup at Mania one-on-one. I think that we'll see the the aftermath of this, I should say, in the women's battle royal, maybe on the pre-show when they have it, or during the main card, whenever they decide to slot the women's battle royal for WrestleMania this year. But again, details to come. Very meh type match. One of the big storylines of the night, Kofi Kingston with the New Day barged their way into Mr. McMahon's office, and Mr. McMahon says, "Where have you been? It's been an hour. I've been waiting for you." And Kofi's been like, "Well, I've been waiting outside, and you guys have turned me away each time." So either way, Mr. McMahon announces, "Hey, there will be a triple threat match for the WWE Championship, and Kofi, you're up next. Go for it." And so everybody's assuming, awesome, WWE Championship match. Even the ring announcer, WWE Championship match is next on the card. So what looks like to be Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston, Kevin Owens doesn't happen. Instead, we have a triple threat match, kind of handicap style, maybe like a 2-on-1 with The Bar versus Kofi Kingston, and essentially eliminating Kofi for the night. They're teasing probably a fatal 4-way now at this point, as we talk about the reveal later on of Mustafa Ali being involved in the match last night at Fastlane for the WWE Championship. I kind of see it as a fatal 4-way. The fatal 4-way itself is kind of made for big cards like this. It's kind of more like a SummerSlam Survivor Series type scenario, but I don't want to say that SmackDown is the lesser of the two brands, but it kind of seems like that in the way that they've been portrayed lately, especially over the past year or so on all the pay-per-views and just the creative and such, going into like big events such as Mania and Rumble and that stuff. It's so difficult to tell, what direction they're going to take once Fox takes over with SmackDown, but a fatal 4-way match at Mania I don't think hurts anything at all for the WWE Championship if that's the route that they are going to take. However, The Bar defeating Kofi Kingston in this match accomplished storyline-wise what it needs to, eliminating Kofi for the night, and no chance of him being involved in the World Championship match, or the WWE Championship match, I should say, later on. Raw Tag Team Championship, the Revival retain over Rude and Gable, and Aleister Black and Ricochet, I guess Team NXT. Still remains to be seen which brand, if both of them stick on the same brand, or if one goes to Raw and one goes to SmackDown after WrestleMania. But I think WWE is kind of set on having Black and Ricochet as a team going into WrestleMania for whatever reason. I think probably they feel their styles complement each other as a tag team. That you've got two former opponents that are kind of known to the WWE universe somewhat, that are kind of were going head to head on one brand, and now that they're called up to the main roster, you can see them team together on something. I think this team would probably be more tailor-made for SmackDown Live, again, with my belief being that in the fall we're going to have more sports entertainers on Raw, and we're going to have more guys that could kind of pass as legitimate athletes, kind of more like the UFC Ultimate Fight style or whatever on SmackDown, because that's what Fox wants. But this was a really entertaining triple threat tag team encounter, and it was a lot of fun to watch. Again, a lot of the sites are giving it a B+ grade. I'd have to go with that too. Like a maybe out of 10, an 8 out of 10. Not for the entire show, I'll give that rating later, but that match was very passable. It would have passed on Monday night as a very decent match on TV. Fatal 4-way for the U.S. Championship was next. Samoa Joe, the champion, retained over Rey Mysterio, Andrade Cien Almas, and R-Truth in this Fatal 4-way match. And again, this will be another interesting title to watch going into WrestleMania, because I think the same 4 guys could be utilized in a similar match of that ilk, maybe even a ladder match, who knows, for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. I think that there was a chemistry between all 4 of them. It was arguably on a show-stealing pace for match of the night, and was very entertaining. I did enjoy it. And yes, I will mark the United States Championship match as my match of the night too. I thought that this thing, just from a pure wrestling standpoint, was awesome from front to back. So it was the match of the night, in my opinion, from Fastlane, is this United States Championship Fatal 4-way. All 4 of those guys can still go, even though 2 of them are kind of older, and then you have the young up-and-coming Almas, and, well, Joe's a veteran too, so nobody was hurt at all in this match. If anything, it was awesome to see all 4 of them, and I think all 4 of them were built up quite a bit. And you know, R-Truth, he keeps surprising me, I tell you. By the end of the year, I might actually become an R-Truth fan. Who knows? The first defense of the Women's Tag Team Championship was up next, as Sasha Banks and Bayley defended and retained over Nia Jax and Tamina, but it wasn't what happened in the match that was the story. It was Nia Jax and Tamina laying waste to Sasha and Bayley after the bell, and then attacking Beth Phoenix, who was doing commentary during the match, which brought Natalya out, and that might lead into something where there was a rumored tag team title match between Sasha and Bayley and Trish Stratus and Lita at WrestleMania. I think now we might be on the road to Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Nia Jax and Tamina versus Beth Phoenix and Natalya. Now it looks like going into WrestleMania. I think if that's the case, a triple threat tag, again, kind of hides the people who haven't worked in the ring for a while. And, you know, I think it would probably flow really nicely with all 6 of them. I think, you know, and Natty's still obviously very active on the roster and that stuff. She gets a chance to shine in a match. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Beth and Natty walk out with the tag titles at the end of Mania, if that's the case. But that's an all too early prediction. We'll wait and see what happens off that. But yeah, women's tag team match, you know, it was very passable. Again, another one that could have showed up on the 3rd hour of Raw and made the 3rd hour of Raw really, really good. So WWE Championship, this was the triple threat match, and Mustafa Ali came out as the surprise 3rd participant in this match. So Mustafa Ali, Kevin Owens, and the champion Daniel Bryan. And of course, that 2nd interception spot ended up being the finish, where Bryan caught Ali in midair with his running knee, which was impressive as hell. If you go back to watch that match is just amazing. It's one step below the U.S. Championship match, but they're neck and neck for match of the night for both of them. I think both matches are up there as probably, it's a young year for 2019, but both matches are up there as very solid performers in, I don't want to say the match of the year category, but it's just great examples of what current WWE booking can do when executed correctly in it. So I was very impressed again by this match, and it was very entertaining. You didn't know which direction it was going to go, whether Ali was actually going to walk out with the title, and we would have Ali and Kofi at Mania, but it looks like the Fatal 4-Way route is probably the route that they're going to go with those 2 gentlemen, Ali and Owens, in there with Daniel Bryan and, you know, Kofi Kingston, question mark right beside it. We'll find out more later this week, obviously. Becky Lynch defeating Charlotte Flair and getting her spot at WrestleMania 35 thanks to an assist by Ronda Rousey, who ran in and got Charlotte Flair disqualified by throwing punches at Becky while Becky was in the figure 8, the finishing hold of Charlotte Flair. This thing was very awkward, kind of just a weird a deal throughout, and definitely not the way a lot of fans, including myself, seen it play out in their mind. Outside the box isn't necessarily bad, but it's not for everybody. It wasn't for me per se in this match, but the desired result is still there at the end of the day. So this one also gets a very hard meh, it happened from me. And we'll see what happens at WrestleMania now, because the anticipated main event now for the Raw Women's title is there, with Rousey being the champion and Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch being the challengers in the triple threat. Another thing that happened throughout the night was Elias. I kind of dubbed this on Twitter as kind of being the trolling troubadour throughout the night. After a big match or a big angle went down, we would see Elias in the ring and just kind of sing a little song or a ballad about it. And that was the story throughout the night. After another weird kind of walkout by Lacey Evans, apparently that's supposed to be the #1 contender for the SmackDown Women's Championship going to WrestleMania. Make of that what you will. We saw Randy Orton come in the ring and RKO Elias, but of course AJ Styles in the pre-show said, if Randy Orton's here, I'm going to take him out. And then we saw AJ Styles kind of pop out of nowhere and do a flying forearm in a very Invasion-esque looking, almost like a tribute to the Troops style run-in where everybody gets shine. So obviously we will have Styles and Orton as one of the rumored matches for Mania. Well, it's a rumored match for Mania. I think later this week it'll probably be made official, if not next week. And it should be a really good encounter. I'm actually looking forward to checking out both those guys go one-on-one with each other and see how their styles mesh in the ring. It should be a lot of fun. Then, of course, the main event match, The Shield reuniting one last time. So Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins taking on Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. Shield win it, and it was your typical out-of-control Shield six-man tag match, which is what that group is known for. If that is the last ride of the Shield, which by all reports it is, it's a great way to go out, and no other way they should have went out other than that. For those who are looking for a heel turn for one of the members last night, don't forget that they just reformed this thing about a week ago, so I think the commentary made it clear throughout the match that this is a one-off and a one-time only, and ergo, there you go. So we will see what happens at WrestleMania 35 with all their matches. We know that Seth's got Brock for the Universal title. We still don't know how Ambrose is going to be utilized, other than the night after WrestleMania is rumored to be his last in WWE. And who's going to be the opponent for Roman? Is it John Cena? Is it Dean Ambrose? We'll see what happens. So my overall grade of WWE Fastlane 2019 is a solid 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was a great card from top to bottom. There weren't really bad matches on this card, with the exception of the women's title matches kind of being kind of more meh than anything else, with Asuka and Mandy being something that you could probably see on SmackDown Live every Tuesday. It kind of had that pace and just the weird outside the box style of the Becky Lynch Charlotte Flair match. But other than that, I think the ball is firmly set in motion for WrestleMania 35. I can't wait to be there to see it, and man, it's a great time of year, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this thing going forward. Alright folks, thanks for sticking with this. I'm Kellen Nitro Later Days. Happy wrestling watching, and we'll catch you next time on Nitromaniac TV's wrestling channel. See ya.